Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Man Maker. During the last part, I covered the long Metroidvania level titled Mega Mantroid Long Venture V1B by Joe. So in this part, I'll cover at least 5 or 6 Viewers Minute levels, starting out with this one. MMMLCC 2017 Time for Windstorm by Gandalf the Dev Exit Magician. 34 plays and a score of 9. But before I begin, I'd like to make a quick announcement. Now, before I mentioned that I would cover all of the MMMLCC levels in their own parts, but now I've decided against that, and instead, I'll cover the viewer-submitted levels from this competition first, and then in the future, near or far future, I'll cover all of those levels probably in a live stream or in their own series of videos. I want to cover the viewer-submitted levels from these competitions first because they've been pushed back for 30 parts or so now, so I might as well do them now. This one though, what ended up happening here was the comment that submitted the ID actually got filtered out as spam on YouTube, even though I thought I remember responding to that message. Oh well, better late than never, I suppose. And the level author did warn me that it could be a bit difficult, so I gotta be a bit careful. So as always, if you want one of your levels to be featured in a part like this one, please leave your level name and level ID either in the comment section below, or direct message me on Twitter, or also direct message me on Discord, that'll work too. Also, as always, the full disclaimer to this entire LP series is linked in the description below. Also in the description are the timestamps for all the levels I cover in these parts, so if you want to check if your level is covered, expand the description. So this is going to be a stage focusing on usage of the Windstorm, good to know. This is also a safe way of introducing the Windstorm in a safe environment. Nope, there's nothing up there, so time to go down. I get the feeling there are going to be some spikes nearby. Thankfully not. So we're first safely introducing the Windstorm gimmicks. Hopefully this does not become something like a Kaiser level, that'll be bad. And of course here comes the spikes. And here's me embedding myself in the spikes because I nicked my head against the wall. Oh boy, I don't know how many times I'm gonna die throughout this stage. Hopefully it's not too much. After all, the Windstorm can act a bit finicky in this engine, as you may be well aware. Nothing to the left, unfortunately. I see. Phew, that was close. Well, if I was careful enough, I could have made it, but instead I'll just use a ring boomerang here. Oh well. At least there was some mercy. I want that E-tank as well, so I'll go for it. What's up here? Probably the next pathway, although down over there may lead to another alternate pathway. I'll have to double check. Well, that's one way of escalating the challenge here, because we cannot bounce off of these blocks. Okay, of course, actually we can. That's neat. I want to see what's down there first. I hit a checkpoint there, so let's take a look. It just leads to an invisible bed of spikes. Good to know. I just wanted to make sure there were no secrets down there. So let's continue onwards. A little bit of odd screen tearing there. Or rather some screen jerking, that was my fault. After all, it is easier to spawn those Windstorm Nados and jump off of them when going upwards than downwards. I guess this is where the difficulty ramps up quite a bit. Alright, I made it down over here. Good. That's the safe way of jumping down over there, thankfully. Just gotta be a bit careful so I don't end up killing myself by accident. That previous segment took about 5 deaths before I did it correctly. After all, jumping downwards was also in a few problems. A little bit of green force beams here, so I'll need to reset this room a few times before I successfully do this. There we go. That was faster than what I expected. I noticed something down over there. I'm not gonna risk it though. Not for all I've accomplished. Okay, there's a checkpoint here, good to know. First I want to destroy these enemies. Okay, we go down here. Good, I thought it was a bottomless pit for a second. I thought we have to go to the top left. Fair enough. Okay, red force beams this time, so we gotta be really fast here. At least there are no red force beams on the top part. I totally expected there to be one or two of them. Clever. I thought I'd have to bounce off on the bottom. Well, that is the faster way, but using the Yoku blocks is the safer way. I'm waiting a second here because I'm half expecting there to be some troll Yoku blocks. Guess not. Didn't want to take any chances there. And I gotta be a bit careful so I don't end up embedding myself in the spikes. First let's kill off this big eye, then I'll proceed onwards. Never mind, just jump past it. Well, outside of that one segment over there where I had to spawn the tornadoes or wind tornadoes when falling downwards, this stage was fine. It was a lot easier than what I expected it to be. I expected it to be a lot more painful from what the author was describing. Okay, time to fight Time Man from the left or right, apparently. Okay. Oh, okay, here, I understand. We need to wait for him to... I need to keep dodging his attacks, and I need to keep spawning the wind tornadoes whenever those yellow force beams are blocked. Though, I get the distinct impression that Time Man's weakness is actually the ring boomerang. So let me try it out. Nope. So instead I'll just do this. This should deal at least 2 hits until he decides to slow down time. Easier said than done, because when he slows down time, it really kind of messes up my movement pattern. So this is going to be quite a challenging boss fight, that's for sure. At the very least, the tornado or wind tornado shots deal 2 points of damage each. Or 3. Oh yeah, I forgot I had an E-tank. I should be using that. Unfortunately, due to Time Man's unpredictable jumping, or rather when he decides to throw out his time slow, this boss fight can be a bit frustrating. Of course I can just ram right into him and use the ring boomerang, that'll probably make it easier. Alright, that's the end for Time for Windstorm, a pretty neat special weapon slash challenge level. On the easier side, thankfully, outside of that one segment, which I died. So I will give it a thumbs up. Nice difficulty curve, and I do like how Gandalf actually introduced usage of the Windstorm in a safe environment, and slowly upped the ante. Like what we saw with the green force beams, and then the yellow force beams, and then the red force beams. and then mixing up the things at the end with the battle against Time Man. So definitely a nice stage, above par. Second on the lineup is Stone Hideout by Daibuman, 13 plays and a score of 2. This is likely going to have a lot less stats than the previous stage. After all, I already know of Daibuman's pedigree of making pretty good traditional levels. Okay, whole slew of special weapons, as well as the Rush Jet and Rush Coil. And Mega Man 6 Charge Shot, good, as well as sliding. So we're introducing the batons, as well as the Tatahos there. As well as the Met Tools. Good to know. And now we're entering this forest hideout. Now we're putting the Tatahos in a bit more dangerous environments. And now we're introducing this Picketman here. 2 directions to go in, let's go left first. Actually, let's check out right first because it's a little bit more suspicious. And I was right, it's just there for an M-Tank. I could go for it using the charge kick, but I don't want to risk dying here, so I'll ignore it. But it's there for more skilled players, so I do approve of that being there. Now, a more difficult configuration of that Picketman on top of the player, as well as putting a Met Tool there to delay the player. Would like one more enemy type over here like a baton, because we've seen the Tatahos for quite a bit. When I say Tatahos, I basically mean the pop-up cannons. Good place for a checkpoint there, probably halfway through the stage. Okay, now we have the batons. Would have liked to seen them 1 or 2 screens earlier. I can make this jump by just doing a slide jump, but I don't want to risk it. So instead, I'll just use Rush Jet. After all, there are probably some goodies here. Yep, there's an E-Tank. But that last segment, even though it's a little bit of a tight jump, is doable by just doing a slide jump off the edge. And now we're introducing these fire bars. The first one on screen kind of surprised me. And now we're at the end of the stage. Nope, we have a mini-boss battle just like before. Time to use the Silver Tomahawk to our advantage. And thus we defeated the Triple Power Muscler Brigade. Now on to the last third of the stage, or last half. And this is a neat way of protecting those Tatahos by adding fire bars. Also, another neat thing I noticed about the Tatahos are that the orange ones are underground and the green ones are in the forest. That's a nice touch. And there we're at the end of the stage. As usual, this stage has a nice challenge progression, good placement of checkpoints, and I do like the boss fight of sorts. Also, I do like the fact that you can get an M-Tank if you're skilled enough with usage of the charge kick. And if you want to, you can get the E-Tank, as well as make that one challenge after the first checkpoint easier as well. Alright, time to fight the boss, Stone Man, with this more difficult environment. Okay, his weakness is the charge kick. This battleground makes the boss fight a lot more difficult, mainly because I'm a lot more constrained of where I can go. Fighting this Buster only would be quite a challenge, so that's a nice way of remaking the Stone Man encounter, to make it more of a challenge instead of being quite a pushover like in the original one. Third on the lineup is Trapped in the Spaceship Part 1, A Freezer Cell by Brickman, 13 plays and a score of 2. And apparently this is going to be a long level. In fact, it may even be the longest stage I'll cover in this part. Definitely. Let's just hope it isn't too difficult, because and I was right, it's gonna have ice physics. Let's take a look at the left. Apparently we start out with nothing. And I spy a Mega Buster locked behind a key door. So I'll need to find a key. Nowhere else to go to the right. Let's just hope that this stage doesn't become too painful. Hopefully at most it becomes as difficult as Time for Windstorm. That was fun. Well, let's go to the left and see what it has to offer. I see that we'll get access to the Ice Slasher there. Well, there's no backtracking now. I was a bit worried of ice physics there. And I can't go to the left, I need a Mega Buster. I'm really afraid of these types of jumps. Especially considering this is Mega Man Maker. Ah, made it. That was also a bit scary there, I thought I may have died. Okay, now I just need to find the key door. Okay, to the right we go, hopefully there's a checkpoint. Thank you, I don't want to repeat that segment. I just don't trust that. We only have access to the Ice Slasher, so we gotta be a bit careful, so we don't waste it. Okay, I see. And it didn't work at all because it didn't register properly. There we go. I need to temporarily freeze the Fan Fiend and then use it again to go to the right. Neat challenge. I really need access to the Mega Buster though. Mainly because I can't damage these enemies, I can only freeze them. Now I need the Fan Fiend in order to respawn and get back. There we go. Wait a minute, was there something back up there? Well, nowhere else to go other than left, so I'm gonna write that off. I get the impression that that's kind of a trap. Well, nowhere else to go other than left. How do I do this? Oh, okay, now I see how to do it. Apparently they cancel each other out, but if I have one running, I can effectively clip over one. That's neat. Need to reset that room a bit. If only they can all close their eyes again like that one moment. That would be really awesome. Then I can proceed onwards to the left. And still I took some damage, unfortunately. I'm half expecting there to be some killer bullets. Instead we have a full life refill and a checkpoint. Thank you, Brickman. Thank you. I'm a bit suspicious, so I'll go to the right. It says there may be a key. And I think I need access to the Fan Fiend as well for a certain item. It just seems so suspicious. Time to freeze all these Yambos. They're becoming a lot more ferocious here. Yeah, I do need it in order to cross it. Makes sense. And we get a spare key. I think it's a spare key at the very least. Time to backtrack and get chased by the army of flies. I wonder though, is this an extra key or is this mandatory? Hopefully, it's the former. I do like this stage's gimmick, first allowing us to use the... how should I say it? Use the Ice Slasher as sort of a stealth segment. That's really neat. And you can do this damageless, but I want to do it a bit faster. And taking damage is necessary for that. But being forced to use the Ice Slasher, which can only freeze enemies, really changes how you play through this level. And yet, I still didn't jump properly. At the very least, checkpoint placement is on the good side. And I guess this is where we use the spare key in order to get the Mega Buster. Good, we're all set for fighting the boss. Only Mega Man 3 physics, so only jumping and shooting. Oh, I see. I really want that E-Tank, so I'll go for it. And time to go back down over here. No spikes, thankfully. Really like the tile set. It reminds me of being in a space station, in a freezer, and... of course, ice physics in Mega Man Maker can be a bit touchy. Or rather, acceleration can go a bit crazy if we're not careful. This is one of those stages where I really wish I had access to the skull barrier. Alright, I made it. This was accurately the most tense segment of the stage by far. Oh my goodness. I was really afraid I was gonna die there, and I died once as well. That's why I wanted to be silent. I really don't like those types of segments. At the very least, I learned something new in that segment. If you're using inertia one on top of one of the ice blocks, if you fall off of one, you immediately lose your inertia and fall one block forward, meaning that you can precisely position yourself one block to the left of spikes, so you won't hit the spikes more likely. Also, where's the checkpoint? I would really like a checkpoint now. Especially considering how painful the last segment was. And I really don't want to repeat that, so let's hope for the best. Oh no. That was a lot better than what I expected. I'm suspicious. What are all of these for? Nah, I'm not going there unless there's a checkpoint. And we looped around, so... should I... Nah, I'm not gonna risk it. I'm just gonna go to the right. I know I have a spare key, but I really don't want to go for probably what the firestorm is locked behind. Mainly because I don't want to die, and there isn't a checkpoint nearby. I really don't want to repeat that last segment. So it's time to fight Iceman here with this unique boss room. Okay, this does make it a bit harder because, well, he jumps around the place. And the boss door to the right, I believe, leads to part 2 of this series of levels. Or, of course, where part 2 starts. So that's the end of Trapped in the Spaceship Part 1 and Freezer Cell. Boy, that was a neat level. We first started out using the Ice Slasher, which resulted in some interesting freezing/stealth segments where we couldn't hurt enemies. And then the latter half of the stage where we got access to the Mega Buster. Boy, that was really scary, especially with the spikes. I would have liked one more checkpoint there, but I guess it's to promote player skill. I liked it, although the last segment I was kind of iffy on, due to the increased difficulty. Thankfully I learned something new about the ice physics, so it did make it a bit easier. And of course that spare key was probably for getting access to the firestorm. But as I said, I didn't want to risk it. Fourth on the lineup is Military Base Part 2 by TimmyJim453, 9 plays and a score of 2. This is part 2 of the military base stage that I played 2 parts ago. Oh neat, we actually start in the boss room that we defeated the boss in, Sparkman that is. And here's the boss door that we were supposed to go through, and here we go. That's a neat way of continuing the stage. I wonder if Brickman will do something similar for his part 2. Anyways, down we go, deeper into the military installation. Part 1 of this took place in above ground, now it's taking place below ground. Or deeper below ground. Yeah, I'm ignoring you, Power Muscler. I really don't want to deal with you. And of course, only have access to Mega Buster, so this is automatically a traditional level. Just like Daibuman stage was. Well, time slow is going to be useful, especially with segments like this one with all the crushers, or rather presses. Now we can move past them with impunity. I just know there's going to be a secret up here. Well, it was certainly an easier route. Well, okay, there was no secret, but this was an easier route. Fine with me. Okay, a crash lift jumping segment. Compared to the previous level I played, this is a walk in the park. Oh, spikes now. They kind of camouflage to the background there. You may want to pick a different spike color. Okay, good checkpoint placement. Now we're outside this facility again. Now we're inside the base, I suppose. Whereas before we were in the nature preserve to the left. The hole to the left probably leads to a secret, which I missed because I see the Galaxy Man teleporter up there. But I'll ignore it. It probably has the weakness of the boss fight, that being Nightman. So instead, I'm just going to use the time slow. So that was the end of Military Base Part 2. I'd say it's about the same difficulty as before. At least it was fun. And the Nightman encounter, even though I didn't probably have his weakness, using the time stop or time slow made it a lot easier. I'd say this is an almost power stage, and because it was enjoyable, I'll give it a thumbs up. Fifth on the lineup is Water Tower for Professionals by MAGMAX. 7 plays and a score of 1. If I recall correctly, MAGMAX mentioned that this may be the most difficult water tower stage that they created, as of date. Though I may be misremembering. Well, it's time to take a look at how difficult it's gonna be. I'm expecting there to be some surprise spikes or something. After all, this is called a professional version. So far, so good. Getting a bit tighter. we have some Wanan generators and oh. Well, thank you for the safety platform there. Well, I can definitely see why this is for professionals. Surprisingly enough, I didn't die yet. Would like one checkpoint nearby. And I got one. Okay, this was less punishing than what I expected it to be. Now to figure out what is Pharaoh Man's weakness. After all, it double hits him. So that was the end of Water Tower for Professionals. I can certainly see why it's for professionals, but unlike the Water Tower Another Road, I'd say that this was kind of easier than Water Tower Another Road, mainly because there was no situations where there was one gap or one block into the tower. It was certainly hard, sure, especially if you're not used to how the oil rider works, or the oil slider works, but at least it was fun. Speaking of which, next up is Water Tower Windstorm Edition, also by MAGMAX, 47 plays, and a surprisingly high score of 17. That's quite impressive. Instead of just using the oil slider globs of oil, we're going to be using the windstorm instead. That's certainly going to be different. In fact, this is a tutorial segment showcasing how to bounce upwards using the windstorm. Now we have to use it to bounce upwards. And if we hit the bottom at any point, we're going to be teleported into the maw of whatever this is. The checkpoint's nearby, so it isn't too bad. First starting out easy with no spikes. Now we're getting a tight squeeze here. Okay, first segment was fine. We entered the tower, we're climbing up this ladder, and we have the checkpoint. Good challenge progression here, and now we have spikes at the bottom, and probably spikes on the sides of this wall. Just gotta be a bit careful not to get surprised. Getting a little bit more challenging. Nice challenge progression here. And now we have a mini-boss against these two hot dogs. Which isn't really that much of a problem, because I can skip past them. Time to fight Top Man. Honestly, I expected this stage to actually have spikes in the walls eventually, but this works, I suppose. After all, there may be a future level, or a future version of the stage which actually does have spikes. We just need to wait. Okay, we actually have charge shots, good. That'll mean taking care of Top Man is easy. Especially with the increased jumping and also the fact that Top Man never jumps. So the water is more in my favor than in Top Man's. So that was the end of Water Tower Windstorm Edition. A pretty neat level. I'd like to see a more difficult version of the Windstorm Edition similar to the one for Professionals. Maybe in a future level. And knowing MAGMAX, they already did that, in some form. So good work at making something more creative than usual. Or than the usual Water Tower stages. Alright, 7th and final level of this part is Press Factory by Buster, 39 plays and a score of 3. We have a whole bunch of nice levels in this part, better than usual in fact, more variety. Oh boy. Well, the teleporting in animation was a bit slower, so I'm a bit worried about stuttering. Though the stage didn't take that long to load in the first place, so I guess it's due to the abundance of objects or something. So this stage is going to be focusing on presses, I believe. Magnets and conveyor belts. And it's going to be a traditional level, quite a few traditional levels in this part, more than what I would expect there to be. Well, that's one safe way of introducing these Camusa burrows, first putting them on the opposite side of a conveyor belt, so you can get used to the top pattern and now in a more difficult environment. Now a more difficult configuration of those presses, as you saw over there, combined with the magnets. So a nice challenge progression there. I do need some more help though. And I died. If there's one other thing I like about this stage, it's to put some large life energy somewhere so you don't take too much damage. Especially considering the fact we don't have any E-tanks or checkpoints. And the presses deal quite a bit of damage. I keep getting ambushed by that one. Let's try this segment again, shall we? Okay, I made the jump somehow. This kinda reminds me of a harder version of one segment in my level in Magmal 2 Conveyor Mayhem, although it's a lot more cramped here. And definitely more dangerous. Little bit of a jerk move there if you don't hold right. Nice to see some challenge escalation combining usage of the conveyor belts, presses, hammer joes, and magnets. After all, the presses are kind of acting like guards for the hammer joes. Or rather, shields. That press over there kind of ambushed me. I should have looked above. Okay, mini boss battle against all of these gumball machines and this Crystal Joe. And there's spikes on the left, of course. And a magnet pulling me to the left, as well as the conveyor belts. Thanks for the checkpoint, good placement. I will gladly use it now. That's a strange combination of tiles that's up there. I'm not sure if I like it. It looks like we're in a junkyard of sorts. Now we have the Magflies. Whole bunch of gimmicks we're combining in this level. Okay. Didn't know how that worked. Oh goody, yellow force beams too. And spikes. Wonderful. I think we may be a little bit overloading on gimmicks now. Though that may be just me. And I don't get how we're getting pulled up by that Magfly. It seems to be quite sudden jerking movement. I'm not sure if it's the fault of the level designer or it's the engine itself. We kinda see it over here. Okay, if I hold left against the wall, it seems to cause some weird movements or more jerky pushing me upwards. Okay there. I totally didn't expect that to happen that way, but okay, I got past that room. But as I mentioned, that room really needs to be reworked because it's too frustrating and there's several instances of force damage. That really should be rectified for better level design. My apologies. For that room alone, I cannot really give this stage a thumbs up. And also another oddity, in the previous room with the yellow force beam and the magfly, even when holding down, it didn't pull me down fast enough. But here it works. Little bit of positioning challenge. And down we go. Let's try going through this segment at full health. I think I'll need it. Oh goody, another one of these segments. I'll just damage boost through it because I don't trust myself, or this level. This stage is already feeling a bit longer than Trapped in a Spaceship Part 1, and it's more due to all the frustration I'm having. If anything, this is the most frustrating stage in the part, unfortunately. And I do understand the ideas behind it, just needs some work and more playtesting. Because I understand what the stage is going for, sure, but it just needs some work. Also, the tile set's a bit odd, to say the least. At the very least, we're near the end. Let me just use the key here over here and get a free E-tank. And end up dying because magnets. So instead, I'll just skip past this and go down and fight the boss. After all, it is Hardman flanked with 2 magnets and 2 crushers. And I also have access to charge shots, so it isn't too bad. So that was the end of Press Factory, although in reality it's more like magnets and presses and conveyor belts factory. Really, the problem with the stage, the first half of the stage was fine, but then it started to kind of fall apart near the latter half. So overall, out of the 7 levels I played in this part, my favorite one would definitely be Time for Windstorm, with an honorable mention being a freezer cell. So in the next part, I'll cover several more of your submitted levels. Well then, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Toodles!